It was 11:30 p.m. on a moonless night in North Willen Pine Forest, Idaho. The wind slipped through the needles of the pines, carrying a cold, almost human-like whistle. The forest felt awake. Aaron Cole, a veteran forest ranger, stood at the window of his tiny ranger cabin. He'd patrolled these woods for 8 years, but tonight the darkness pressed against the glass like a living thing. The radio on his desk crackled to life. Unit 3, we have a missing hiker reported near Pine Hollow Trail. Last seen at dusk. You're the closest. Please respond. Aaron grabbed his jacket and flashlight. He didn't know why his stomach churned. Maybe it was the strange silence outside, or the feeling that something in the woods was listening. That night would change his life forever, or maybe it would end it. Aaron Cole had joined the Forest Service right after college, looking for solitude and purpose. North Willen Pine was beautiful, but notorious for its superstitions. Old locals told stories about the Shadow Man, a figure that wandered beneath the pines at night, luring travelers off the trail. Aaron never believed a word of it, but as his Jeep rumbled toward Pine Hollow Trail, the wind picked up, whistling through the dense black rows of pine like a low, mournful choir. He parked near the trailhead. The rain had just started, soft droplets tapping against the roof. Grabbing the radio, he reported, Unit 3 on site, beginning search for the missing hiker. His flashlight sliced through the dark, but only lit a few feet ahead. The pine trunks seemed endless, crowding in close, their roots twisting like skeletal hands. Then he saw it, deep gouges in the wet soil across the trail, as if something heavy had dragged itself through. He crouched, tracing the marks with his glove. They're too wide for deer, too long for a bear. The wind shifted. Somewhere in the distance, a tree creaked, like it was groaning under its own weight. Aaron swallowed the unease and pressed forward into the black corridor of trees. The first clue appeared less than half a mile in, a torn backpack, rain-soaked, lying half-buried beneath wet needles. The zipper was broken. Inside were a half-empty water bottle and a dead flashlight. He swung his own beam across the trunks and froze. On the rough bark of a nearby pine were 3 long scratches, each deeper than any animal claw he'd ever seen. They weren't random, almost deliberate, like something had marked the tree on purpose. Aaron's radio hissed suddenly, breaking the silence. Leave now. His thumb hovered over the button, but no one replied. Static again, then silence. A flash of red caught his eye. A scarf snagged in the thorny brush. It matched the missing hiker's description in the report. As he reached for it, he heard soft, crunching footsteps behind him. He spun, shining the light. No one, just the trees. But the sound of footsteps didn't fade. It moved, circling him. The deeper Aaron went, the quieter the forest became. No crickets, no rustling leaves. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Then, from somewhere up ahead, a scream shattered the silence. It wasn't a single voice. It was layered, like several people screaming at once, echoing through the hollow trunks. He sprinted toward the sound, dodging roots and low branches, his flashlight beam trembling with each step. The trail dipped into a clearing where a small wooden cabin sat, hunched beneath the weight of decades. The cabin wasn't on any of the park's maps. Its door hung crooked, a rusted chain swinging gently from the latch. A faint flicker of candlelight glowed through the cracks in the boards. Aaron approached, feeling every hair on his arms rise. He pushed the door open. Inside, the air smelled of damp earth and burnt wax. On the dirt-covered floor lay overturned photographs and half-melted candles, but the walls, they were covered in symbols drawn in charcoal, 3 concentric circles crossed by jagged slashes. As his light swept across the symbols, the cabin door slammed shut behind him, rattling the walls. The flashlight flickered, then steadied, and in that brief stutter of darkness, a whisper crawled into his ear. He's watching, heart hammering. Aaron spun and yanked the door open. The woods outside looked the same, but the path back was gone. The trees seemed rearranged. It felt as if the forest itself had shifted. Aaron stumbled into a clearing he didn't remember existing. In the center stood a rotting wooden effigy, a crude humanoid figure carved from a pine trunk, faceless except for 2 hollow sockets where eyes should have been. The soil around it was darkened, wet, almost red. A branch cracked behind him. Slowly turning, Aaron saw it, a towering shadow-like figure, 7 feet tall, limbs too long, clawed fingers dragging across the earth as if reluctant to lift them. Its eyes burned faintly red, like embers behind smoke. Every instinct screamed at him to run. Instead, he raised his flashlight, shining it into the thing's face. The creature recoiled slightly, hissing in a guttural rasp. Then it lunged. Aaron dodged, feeling claws scraped the back of his jacket, tearing fabric but missing flesh. His radio crackled again, not dispatch, but the same hollow whisper. Greater than run. He bolted through the undergrowth, the forest twisted around him, branches snagging his sleeves, roots clawing at his boots. The sound behind him, heavy dragging steps, was relentless, keeping pace just out of sight. Exhausted, bleeding from a scrape on his arm, Aaron stumbled upon a small deserted campsite. Inside one of the abandoned tents lay a journal, its pages warped from the rain. He flipped to the last entry, scrawled in frantic handwriting. Greater than, it watches from beneath the pines. It hides during the day. Light burns it. That's why it waits for the dark. If you see it, never let the light die. Aaron's flashlight flickered at that exact moment as if mocking the warning. He tightened his grip, shaking the beam until it steadied. The trail ahead twisted again, looping him back toward the same cabin as before, no matter which direction he chose. It was as though the woods themselves were trapping him, drawing him in circles around something he couldn't see. By the first gray light of dawn, Aaron finally staggered out of the tree line and onto the ranger road. Backup had arrived, other rangers and a search and rescue team. They rushed to help him, shocked by his torn uniform and haunted expression. But the missing hiker was never found. 2 weeks later, Aaron resigned from his post. He told the officials he couldn't explain what he'd seen that night. At home, he often woke up drenched in sweat, convinced he heard the pine branches scratching at his window like they were whispering his name. The park released a brief statement to the public. A lone hiker went missing in North Willen Pine Forest. Search efforts continue. No mention of the symbols, the effigy, or the shadow-like creature. But Aaron knew the truth. Something still lurked beneath the canopy of those pines, and it would wait, patient and hungry, for the next light to go out. Narrate with a deep, steady male voice, low, slightly raspy, and calm at first. Build tension gradually as the story moves deeper into the forest. Whisper the lines, "He's watching," and run to make them chilling. Pause briefly after screams or shocking revelations to let the suspense sink in. Keep the pacing slow but intense, as if telling a true late-night campfire horror story.